Hey guys, so now I am on part 2 of this video. I know some of you guys are probably paying attention to the spice rack over here. Pay attention over here, kiddos. All right, so back to this. Here's what we were talking about. So we're seeing how, like, before, I think I said last time I gave you two sides and an angle, and you were able to figure out the other side. That's not what I meant. I meant, like, I before I would give you an angle and a side, and you were able to figure out like any other one of these sides, right? Okay, now again, what we're doing, I'm going to give you two sides just like this, and you're going to tell me what the angle is. You're going to see how easy this is after I do this example. So again, this is what we were using before. Now we're using the inverse trig functions to figure out what the angles are. Okay, so back to this example over here. We'll do a couple of examples. So I'm going to start with this one here. Same one that we were talking about earlier. So this is 65, that's 35. And then I'm going to call this guy, just so that we have a name, I'm going to call this L, V, I don't know, T. Okay? And say right here that I'm asking you, hey, given triangle LVT, I want you to find the measure of angle L. Okay? So in other words, I'm trying to figure out what in the world is this angle right here? What is it? So you're going to have to figure that out. Now, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you the steps right here. Again, steps. First thing I want you to do this time, I'm not going to ask you to find what you need. I just want you to look at what you have. So look at what you have. So what do we have? We have two things, 65 and 35. And choose the correct inverse function according to angle needed, I'm gonna say. Okay, so here's what I mean. I want this angle, right? That's what we need. We need to figure out what this is. So what do we have? Because we have to choose a trig function. So I know this is the angle that I'm trying to look for. I want to look at what I have here. Once again, let's label this. I'm going to say label. So this is, what is this? You guys know this is my opposite. And then you also know that this one right here, that's the hypotenuse here. So you know that this is the adjacent side. Okay? So look back at your trig functions here. Which one has opposite and adjacent? Well, obviously your tangent does. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and set it up. Here's what I want to do. Let's say set up and substitute values. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set it up. I'm going to set it up like this. I'm trying to find the measure of angle L, right? That's what we're trying to find. Measure of angle L is going to be equal to, what do we say we're going to use? Opposite and adjacent. The inverse tangent. We're going to use this guy right here. So the inverse tangent, we write it like this, right? And then what do we have? We have the opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent, the opposite is 65. And the adjacent is 35. Now I'm going to show you how this looks on the calculator. By the way, sometimes the inverse tangent, you're going to see it as like arc sine. Maybe I should write that over here. So like the inverse sine would be arc sine. Sometimes you'll see that. The inverse cosine would be arc cosine. And the inverse tangent, you would see it as arc tan, just arc tangent. Okay, so just so you know, in the calculators, you might see it displayed in different ways. That's another way you might see it. Okay, so back to this. I'm going to show you how it looks like on my calculator. And again, I'm using the one on Google, so you can use the same one. So here's what we have. First of all, I'm going to ask you to always make sure that this is not in radian mode. Make sure it is in degree mode. So degree mode, see this right here? INV stands for inverse. Go ahead and click that guy and look what you see now. You see all of your inverse functions, the ones we're trying to use. Okay, so all I'm going to do is pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy right here, inverse tangent, and 65 divided by 35, and that's going to give my answer. So inverse tangent, see how I told you it comes out as arctangent, and it was 65 divided by 35, and that will give you your answer. So the answer is 61.69, and again, we are rounding off. So if I look here, that's greater than 5. That's going to go up 1, but you can't go up 1, so it's going to be 61.70. Okay, so 61.70. Wait a second, I think I did something different. Hold on, guys. I think I did something incorrect. Do you guys know what I did wrong? What did I do wrong? Gosh darn it. I'm not going to start this video over because I really need these notes. But here's what I did wrong. Opposite over adjacent. Did I do opposite over adjacent here? I sure didn't, guys. I hope you guys caught that. What should this be? Opposite is 35. And then my adjacent, what's my adjacent? 65. Sorry, guys. I would do another video, but just don't got the time. So opposite over adjacent, this is what it should be. So let's go ahead and punch that in our calculator again and see what it is that we get. Sorry, my bad. Let's do that again. So again, inverse, it's in degree mode, tangent, and it was not 65 over 35, but it was 35 over 65. Sorry, guys, I hate messing up. That's more like it. 28.3. 300, which rounds off to 28.30. Perfect. Now I know what, I knew something was off there. So now I know that the measure of angle L is actually equal to 28.30 degrees. Figured out what that angle was. Pretty easy, huh? So I'm going to go ahead and maybe I should do another example because I kind of screwed that one up. So I'll do the last step was to just evaluate with a calculator. Okay, so just punch it in. Okay, I'm going to do one more example because I messed that one up and I don't want you guys to be confused. So example 2. Say that I give you this triangle right here. Hope you guys can see that. I'm going to zoom in just a tad. Okay, and then this is K, this is I, and that's P. This is 10 here, this is 8, and I want you to find this angle right here. Okay, that's my theta. Okay, so the question says this: given triangle KIP, find the measure of angle I. Okay, so I'm trying to find this measure here. Again, I'm going to set it up. So I want the measure of angle I, and again I have this is the opposite, and then what is this? The hypotenuse. So what's going to give me the opposite and hypotenuse again? You know that the inverse sine, right, gives me opposite and hypotenuse. So I'm going to use this the sine. Let me zoom back in. So is equal to inverse sine. I'm so paranoid now. I feel like I'm making all kinds of mistakes. So inverse sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Make sure I'm doing this right. 8, which is my opposite, over my hypotenuse, which is 10. What are you going to do now? Just put it in your calculator. We already set it up. We substituted values. Now put this in the calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in right here. So I have, again, inverse, sine, and then opposite is 8 divided by 10. And that equals 53.13. Okay? And that is correct. So the measure of angle I now know is equal to 53.13 degrees. I hope that wasn't too hard. Please try the sample problems that I have posted up next. I hope this is pretty clear to you guys. Again, it doesn't take too much. This is actually more of just punching things into the calculator and you get your answer. Okay? But again, post any questions if you have them. And again, sorry about that little mishap there. Hope you guys have a good day. And it is Pi Day today if you're able to do this today. Bye.